So, first question. What do you believe is the most significant impact AI will have on society in the next decade?
In the next decade, all right, I think the question about the next decade is how serious we are in putting appropriate guardrails in place. And if we aren't, I think there are going to be some unanticipated tragedies. There's going to be a lot of technological unemployment. It's hard to measure how much that will be because AI is creating new jobs. But my suspicion is the people who are getting the new jobs are really the youngsters going through universities now who are training for that level of jobs, and it's not going to do a lot for the trucker who's getting replaced by an AV truck, or even middle management people who are essentially putting together reports that a good large language model, maybe they aren't good enough yet, but they're getting to that point. So technological unemployment is another one of the big ones. And the other thing that concerns me is the inordinate power going to the tech oligopoly. So Elon Musk basically bought the U.S. executive for around $278 million. That's chump change for him. So that concerns me because we're talking about trillions of dollars being generated by AI, and 90% of that's going to go to the top few percent of stockholders and so forth. So you will notice that I'm not talking about AI per se, in terms of AI is going to solve cancer, or AI is going to do this, or AI is going to do that. I'm talking more about the impact AI is going to have on culture. And I'm afraid we're going to see a proliferation of genocidal warfare enabled by AI support systems. So that's not the rosy picture, but that's also who I am. You understand? I mean, I have been underscoring what are the ethical and societal challenges of AI, and not just AI, emerging technology generally, for 25 years. I do talk about their benefits, but I'm really the guy who's been trying to make sure we recognize and are on top of the dangers.
What's exciting you and scaring you the most about AI development?
Well, what excites me is I'm fascinated to see how much of human cognition we can reproduce computationally. It's not about, again, the specific uses. It's just the very fact of AI is fascinating to me, and the fact of what it seems to be able to reproduce and what it will have difficulty with. So reasoning capacities up to a certain level. AI doesn't go that deep in its reasoning yet, but reasoning capacities is now mastering in some ways, but I think we're going to find 80% of what humans do is relatively easy, and the other 20% is going to be a bear. And I do hope it's going to be a bear, because I think that opens the door for human AI collaboration as opposed to AI's preeminence. So that does fascinate me. There's a lot of things that AI can't do yet. Can't do ethical reasoning. It can't do theory of mind and consciousness and a whole flock of other things. But I'm fascinated to see whether those get mastered, and whether they get mastered in a way where they seem to be real rather than simulated. My water girl. Thank you, Hannah.
Took a while. I'm so sorry.
Nothing to be apologetic for.
Thank you so much.
Did I get both sides of that question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not seeing it. Given the current turbulent geopolitical climate, how can we ensure that AI is being used for good in the world?
You, say that again?
Yeah, no problem. Given the current turbulent geopolitical climate,
Yeah.
how can we ensure that AI is being used for good in the world?
Well, that's been my question for the last few months, and I don't claim to have some great insight on that, but I've been thinking about the governance of AI for quite a few years now, and particularly how we might move toward global governance. I think the present political climate, in a strange sense, has put AI on the back burner, even though somehow everybody's thinking about it in some way or another, but it seems to be secondary to whether we're even going to have the kinds of freedoms that we have presumed. So I don't think it's going to. I think something has to happen, and I've been saying this for a few years, and I think something's going to have to happen for us to get back to putting in place the appropriate safeguards to ensure that AI is ethical, is deployed responsibly, and does not lead to major human tragedies. And the problem is the present political climate is not built for that. The present political climate is built to sell out the human soul for efficiency, productivity gains, tax cuts, and of course all of that requires a politicized narrative, such as, we gotta beat China before they beat us.
Last question is, why are you participating in World Summit AI Canada, and what's exciting you about being here?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I participated in the very first of the World Summits in Amsterdam, so there's a part of me that loves seeing how various things have evolved. I go back to before there was an AI ethics and AI governance, and even before terms like responsible AI were being thrown about. So I am fascinated by where we were, the stages we've gone through, how we got here, and whether here is addressing what I hope to see addressed, that may have been pointed out by me or colleagues or something like that many years ago. So that's why I accepted the invitation to come here. Would I have come without the invitation? Probably not. They're getting to be a lot of conferences out there. But I was honored to be invited, and I'm actually kind of thrilled to hear some of the corporate people talk about the tools they have now to implement AI more responsibly within their corporate settings. I can't tell yet how robust all that is, but the fact that they're even talking about it. Let me add an anecdote in here, okay? Because one of my colleagues invented a biologic that became Agent Orange. And he was so taken aback by that he pretty much spent the rest of his life talking to scientific colleagues about how they had to be responsible to their creations. And I'm here watching, my God, we've got a lot of scientists involved. We may have a corporate culture that does a lot of ethics washing, wants to look like it's being ethical, but the extent to which people are taking it seriously within some corporations, that's mind-blowing. That we didn't just start talking about AI ethics, but here we are 20 years later, and thousands of people, creative people with insights and experimental evidence are trying their best to bring responsible AI and safe AI about. I'm not convinced it's going to happen because of the political climate and the corporate climate, but it's wonderful to see. We all have a question about whether we could have made any difference in the world. Yeah. I played an interesting role in this all coming into being, and so I look back and I said, yeah, maybe it did make a little difference.